What's going on, everyone? So, in Scream 5, we saw Dewey Riley meet his demise. And a lot of people, to this day, are not very happy about that. I didn't mind them taking out Dewey as long as you were sticking to the script, right? Because the idea of taking Dewey out was to set the tone going forward that no one is safe, right? Every Scream movie, Dewey, Gale, and Sidney, those three you know are going to make it out, right? There's no real stakes. The idea was, okay, we're going to really raise the stakes and show, no, Gale could die at any point. Sidney, she could potentially die at any point. This is a new era, right? This is a Sam and Tara franchise now. This is not the old class, right? And we've seen horror franchises bring in the core characters of the past, kill them off, and the new sequels, the new modern sequels. So it was kind of to establish this new ground, which again I was all for until Scream 6, where you killed nobody, right? Like, what was the point of taking out a beloved character to set a tone and new direction for the franchise going forward to just essentially retcon it? Like, there was no point in killing Dewey if you were just going to let everyone leave. Now, if Scream 6 was an absolute bloodbath and like Sam was the only one to survive it or something, now we're talking. Right now, you really establish this new direction, this new core of a franchise going forward. So that's where I have my problem in. Also with Dewey, out of the three characters, Dewey made the most sense. I know some people disagree with that, but you're not killing Sidney, just not. Gale is the easiest inherent character, right? You don't need an explanation for Gale. You don't need any really rhyme reason why she's getting involved or why she's in a place where Ghostface is at. She's so easy to just explain, and you don't have to really spare details or screen time or anything like that to kind of explain it. Where even with Dewey, it's like, unless it's in Woodsboro, because at the time he was the sheriff in Woodsboro, right, before Scream 5, right? It was like, okay, well, so he's going to go from Woodsboro being the sheriff to now if you do a film in New York, like, why is he doing it? Like, you have to start explaining reasons for why Sidney's getting involved, why Dewey's getting involved. Gale, she's just going to show up, right? Ghostface is, taking people out. Well, guess what Gale's doing? She's showing up to report on it, to write a book, to solve the crime, right? That's what she does. So I do think it made sense to get and kill off Dewey. And it also kind of fits Dewey's character, right? Think of Scream 1 and 2. And, in every film, this dude's meeting his end. It was like, at some point, when does somebody finally get him? And somebody finally got him. But I see this debate going on from people that want Dewey back and kind of retcon 5 and 6. And, there's this ongoing debate of should you or shouldn't you? And I want to kind of dive into that a little more. Of course, I want to give my opinions, and then I want to hear yours down in the comments below. Also, again, please, be considerate, be kind to each other, right? Let's just have a fun, friendly conversation, whether you're on Team Bring Dewey back or not bring Team Dewey back. But getting into it, right? Again, I grew up with this franchise. I love this franchise. And I love Dewey as a character. I would love to see Dewey back. But what I love more about Scream compared to these other franchises are really two things. One is the realism, right? Now, Scream, does it have unrealistic moments? Does it have movie logic? Of course. It's a movie, right? This isn't, a documentary. This is a movie. So I don't mind the certain things or elements that are a little unrealistic, but the premise and the basis of Scream is very realistic. It's not some evil monster. It's not some superhuman in Jason or whatever. It's nothing other than a guy or girl wearing a costume, running around killing all their friends, right? You see that on the news every day. As crazy and just unbelievable as that sounds, it's true, right? We live in a world where, yes, it's usually a gun instead of a knife, but it's real, right? I love a good old paranormal film, right? I'm really fascinated by just paranormal and supernatural stuff, right? Like, I love, a good old fashioned, just haunting or demonic film or whatever. But I personally don't necessarily believe in a lot of that stuff. I also have never really had an experience, so I can't put myself in the shoes of these characters in these paranormal style films, right? I know a lot of people do believe in it. I know a lot of people have had experiences, so maybe they can, right? But as somebody that hasn't and doesn't necessarily believe in any of that stuff, I can't see, me being or dealing with, my girl being possessed or whatever, right? But I can see what would happen if a guy with a knife started taking out all my friends and coming after me and my girl or me and my family, like those realistic things, like things like The Strangers and stuff like that, right? I like the realism in these films. The second thing that I really love is, besides the continuity or besides the realism, is the continuity, right? The beauty of Scream is you never have to break that. Because it's not a Jason, it's not a Michael, it's not a Freddy, right? It's not, some, again, supernatural deity or some, singular person that you have to take out, right? It's always someone different. It's whoever is wearing the guise of Ghostface. And that's something that I really love. And I don't want to see that get taken away, right? Again, I love Dewey. I grew up with Dewey, right? David Arquette, right? Like, I don't want to see continuity, realism, and what Scream has been that very few franchises, if any, have ever really been. Right? I mean, you're talking going into the 7th installment. Usually by this point, these franchises have gone off the rails, right? They all start, or not all of them, but a lot of them start kind of realistic, right? Like, and then they all just kind of go whoop down, down this roller coaster, and then all of a sudden the human now is like a genie, and it's just like, whoa, right? The beauty of Scream is that they've maintained that realism. They've maintained that continuity. Again, are there unrealistic moments? Are there silly moments? Sure, right? I mean, even Scream 6 with Chad. Now look, Dewey has taken his beatings. Dewey has gotten tore up by Ghostface a couple times, but we watched Chad basically get butchered and filleted and everything, and then he just like walked it off. Right? It's just like, what? Like, oh, what are we doing here? And a lot of people try to defend that by going, well, look at Dewey. Yeah, but there's a difference between Dewey getting stabbed in the back like once and falling down and, laying there. And then, this was a little silly that they justified it as, Ghostface hit old scar tissue. Like, yes, but it's survivable. It's believable, right? Somebody like Chad basically getting stabbed by 2 people from their head down to their toes 1,000 times. It's just a little hard to kind of get by, right? And then that dude just was left there to bleed out for who knows how long, right? I mean, him surviving in Scream 5 was more realistic than Scream 6. And Scream 5 was a little tough, but it was just like, okay, sure, right? It was like, okay, this guy's clearly the new Dewey. They just did it extreme. They just did it to the extreme rather than keeping it within realistic reasons, right? You look at even Scream 1, right? He has the knife in the back, but he just got stabbed once and then just kind of stumbled out, right? Like, you can survive. There's people that survive stabbings regularly. So, again, it's the magnitude in which it happens. But for me personally, I don't think you can justify, and then also, once you retcon something, because, look, you could make the argument, Scream 5 and 6 could kind of be its own thing, kind of be its own pocket. You look at Halloween, you look at these things, they all have different timelines and stuff, but that's the point, right? Like, think of how convoluted and chaotic Halloween is, and all these different timelines, and all these, once you open Pandora's box once, you can't close it. Right? So now what? Are you get later on down the road, are you retconning Scream 2 and 3? Are you retconning? Like, you open that door, now it becomes easier every time, right? Like, it's something that I don't want to see this franchise go down. I don't want to see the franchise start having to, bring back old characters and do all this stuff just to make it interesting. Tell a new story, right? Develop new characters, build new characters that we can love. It's one of the big reasons I want to move off of Sidney and Gale so much. It's like, how long can we keep going with these characters, and how long can we keep going before it gets unrealistic, right? How many times can Sidney just get stabbed all over the place and just like make it out? How long is it before Ghostface either just gets lucky or, several of these crazies decide to just surprise attack? I don't care how prepared you are. 10 of them show up, you're dead, right? Like, at what point does it kind of get like, okay, like, if people really want her dead, or the storyline just starts getting silly and it's like, oh, here we go, another brother, cousin, nephew, uncle, right? Like, can we just, the beauty of this franchise is you can go on forever. Go on forever. Tell new stories, right? You don't have to make a new group of characters every single film, but you could do new trilogies every few years, right? Like, and I get that was the idea of like the Sam thing, and then that didn't work out for the third film, but okay, like, you want to bring Gale and Sidney back for this film? I get it, okay? You lost Melissa, you lost Jenna, it kind of threw a wrench into things, right? What's the safest route to go? Okay, Gale and Sidney. Okay, and I know Gale isn't, at the time of recording this video, Gale isn't signed on yet officially, but I believe she will, personally. Could be wrong. But to me, it's like, keep it simple, right? Like, okay, do the safe film, this film, and then use this film to build new characters, right? Have some creative writing. Scream 5 and 6, like, I liked Scream 5 and 6, but they're not something to write home about, right? And that's sad, because I love this franchise, and I've been very critical of 5 and 6, but it's because they just, it's almost like they don't have direction with these characters. It's almost like they don't know what to do with Dewey, Gale, and Sidney. So it was like, okay, let's just kill Dewey, right? And then that'll set the tone and establish going forward. Okay, perfect, it's fine, right? Because Sidney in Scream 5 serves zero purpose, and then Gale in Scream 6 serves zero purpose. It's like, why do you keep forcing these characters back in? And now you're going to retcon and bring Dewey in, and it's the same writers that just did 5 and 6 and basically made Sidney pointless and then Gale pointless? And you want them to bring Dewey back and expect them to not make Dewey pointless? Right? I thought they did a decent job with Dewey in Scream 5, but even his story was backwards. Go look at the history of Dewey and Gale. Look at their history and tell me that the story as to why Dewey and Gale are no longer together makes any sense. Dewey would have walked through hell for Gale. Dewey never would have left Gale. Gale was always the one that left. Gale was always the one that ran for greener pastures and fame and, 60 Minutes 2 and all that stuff. And Dewey was always the guy that got left behind. And then you basically flip-flopped it, right? And then Dewey was like this weird version of himself, right? I get he was at the bottom of the bottle and all that stuff because he lost Gale and he felt like a coward, but you could have done the same story, just flip things around. Dewey could have still been, it would have made more sense, right? Because Gale left Dewey once again, and he just spiraled, ended up losing his job as the sheriff because she couldn't stand Woodsboro and couldn't hack it. It fits her story every single time. Her first love is her career. Her first love is her job. Dewey is second, but Gale is his love. Right? Like, those are the differences. And I don't want to see them, again, retcon this stuff and change all this stuff. I don't have the faith in this current writing core to correctly portray Dewey. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Where are you as far as bringing Dewey back? Not bringing Dewey back. Again, please be kind to each other in the comments. If you disagree with somebody, you guys want to go back and forth, please. That's fine, right? That's what it's about. It's fun, engagement, having conversation. I'm all for it, but please be respectful. Because, looking at Twitter and some of these other things, man. Some people are very, very disrespectful. But let's keep it clean in this community and show that, hey, this place is different, right? But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.